remarkable discovery within the aerial view Antarctic Circle ice sheet topography, as discovered by LaurelD Smith of Chicago, Illinois. When the entire pancake-shaped ice sheet is turned into a negative, we see an 506KK3 elongated-headed, African-looking Old Testament glowing will and will like U.F.O alien Elohim face image. Now, the Elohim face image can directly be connected to the extraterrestrial Elohim in Ezekiel's Old Testament glowing will and will like U.F.O. Now, this would mean then that the ice sheet topography of the Antarctic Circle and its 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Giza pyramids in which the United States Marines were seen parachuting down in front of. In 2012, the ice-covered Giza pyramids was discovered. In 2018, LaurelD Smith discovered the 506KK3 elongated African-looking alien Elohim of Ezekiel's Old Testament glowing will and will like U.F.Os. It turns out that the Dome of the Rock outer wall in which supports the Golden Dome in Jerusalem, if you walk up close to it and walk around the walls on the octagonal roof, you will see that there are stone rectangular window frames, and in each stone rectangular window frame you will see 5 blocks stacked on top of one another on the left and right side that they form a step that you walk upon. This would be the Black African Hamitic Stele Pyramid E civilization of Ham, since the first book in the mistranslated King James Bible that was written 400 years ago by King James appointed 72 Greek and Hebrew scholars as they tried to write the story of the African continent black man faced on a lion's body called the Lion Sphinx of the tribe of Judah of Genesis 49 chapter and 8 verse. Well, they denied the African Lion Sphinx in front of the Giza pyramids being connected to EZRA 1:3, let us go to Jerusalem, which is located in the land of Judah. But however, if we go back to Ham, H-A-M, this is the name of black man in the book of Genesis. And it goes on to say in the first book of the Bible that the kingdoms of Ham is Akkad, Iraq, Babylon, and Haran. So all the stele pyramids we see in the Middle East, all the stele pyramids we see up on the northeast African continent coastline, where that thin strip of water called the Euphrates River separates northeast Africa from Arabia. If we cross from Giza of Ezra 1:3, let us go up into Jerusalem, which is located in the land of Judah. Now we cross over into Gaza. Now we cross, that's the Judean desert coastline. And so when we look at the real-time archaeological discoveries of LaurelD Smith of Chicago, Illinois, in which uncovers that the stele pyramid in the Dome of the Rock outer wall, I call it the stele pyramid E or 784 stele pyramid image. This is giving the human race a globe earth stele pyramid E Mercator projection. In other words, if you look at the stele pyramid of Saqqara, stele pyramid of Doja, all the stele pyramids around the world, but if we go back and focus particularly on Psalms 105th chapter 23rd verse, where it speaks of the 12 sons of Jacob entering into ancient Egypt as they left their father Jacob in the Babylonian stele pyramid E civilization of Ham. So we're talking about a totally black African origin of the stele pyramids in the Middle East, even up on the outer cave surface in Midian, Arabia. So after we cross from Giza across the Euphrates River, we're on the northeast Arabian coastline, which is northeast African continent coastline. So if we connect the northeast African stele pyramids in the Judean desert, where we see this ancient African Sphinx face, and we see ancient stele pyramid ruins, ancient blocks like they were stacked, 5 blocks on top of one another on the left side that they form a step that you walk upon, 5 blocks stacked on the right side that they form a step that you walk upon. This is a black man stele pyramid, y'all. So it's time to wake up and smell the coffee. Archaeologists and theologians have denied the African Lion Sphinx and its connection to the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. But now we see it's the Ethiopian Lion Sphinx to the tribe of Judah. And when we go to Ethiopia, we see the same stele pyramid E image in the Dome of the Rock outer wall area in which supports the Golden Dome. So we go to Ethiopia, look down upon the stone cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela from a 12 to 6 o'clock position. We see that this stone cross-shaped building structure is in the center of a stele pyramid E base. So the same step pyramid E image in the Dome of the Rock window also appears around the stone Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela. Now, in the ceiling of the cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela, when you look up, you see circles. They have smaller circles in the center. So this is representing a will and will like U.F.O as you look above your head in the sky. So if we go back to the Giza Sphinx in the Bible, being connected to Ethiopia and Ham, the Hamitic step pyramid E civilizations, which started Akkad, Babylon, or all where we see black African step pyramids. 5 blocks stacked on top of one another on the left and right side that they form a step that you walk upon. So if we go back to the Antarctic Circle aliens and the Dome of the Rock outer walls in which supports the Golden Dome in Jerusalem. Now this step pyramid, if you look at this Antarctic Circle in 2012 image or video where the United States Marines are seen parachuting out of an airplane, and they had the camera shining out of the airplane, and you see them flying over 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Giza pyramids. This is where we reclaim the black African land things of Judea and Jerusalem of Ezra 1:3, to the African land things of Genesis 49 chapter and 8 verse, who cast down as a lion and as an old lion. Okay, it also says thou art going up, and all that fought the children shall bow down. Now remember, Prophet Elijah was caught up in the whirlwind, a glowing circle of will and will like U.F.O. So as we reclaim the step pyramid E, which is showing us that if it's upon the octagonal roof in Jerusalem, okay, then we have to place the step pyramid E image you see in this video within the octagonal roof. Now we have an octagonal equatorial perimeter. So the Babylonians, or the black Hamitic step pyramid E civilization that started Babylon, Akkad, Haran, all the ancient cities in the Bible, was this, even Egypt, we see step in the Saqqara. So now we go back to the blackboard and put 5 blocks on the left side that they form a step that you walk upon, 5 blocks on the right side. Now look at it. Now in the Dome of the Rock window is 2 step pyramids connected to their bases, which gives us the step pyramid E, north, south, east, and west coordinate vector. This is geographic areas on the globe Earth. And what type of Earth? If you place the blue basketball-shaped Earth at your feet and look down upon it like a basketball, you will place the octagonal roof of the Dome of the Rock around the equatorial area. So this will give us, now if we place the step pyramid in the octagonal equatorial perimeter of the globe Earth, or the roof of the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, now we see that in the center of the step pyramid is where the 90-degree Antarctic Circle begins. Now that's, if you go and look up at the top of the North Pole into the sky, you're going to see, looking down from outer space from a 12 to 6 o'clock position on the blue basketball-shaped Earth, you will see a 90-degree circle of hydrogen-like plasma rotating around and around. Now, if we say then that in the Dome of the Rock window, the Arctic Circle is in the center of the outer wall area which supports the Golden Dome step pyramid E image. Now here's where we make one of the greatest archaeological and theological discoveries of our time. As we turn the Giza Sphinx 66 feet in front of the Giza Pyramid, 1, 2, 3 North African pyramids, into a 66.33 degree North and South Pole Antarctic Circle latitude, then the 66 feet height of the Giza Sphinx line of Judah that had these elongated headed 506 KK3 and the Arctic Circle aliens. Now remember, these black-skinned aliens on the Antarctic Circle connected to the 1, 2, 3 ice-covered pyramids. They are 4 feet tall. They have big black oval-shaped eyes. They had 3 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand. They had no hair. In fact, they had no penis or vagina between their legs. They had smooth skin there where a woman's vagina would be. This is why we cannot call the creator of man in Islam or in the Quran or in Christianity, okay, a he, like he created the heavens. No, no, no. There's no he connected to the creator of man. Now, when we go back to the aliens, they had no penis or vagina between their legs. They had smooth skin. This is the God is not a man scenario, where we now reconnect the aliens in the Antarctic Circle to the North African Giza pyramids and the Dome of the Rock outer wall area which supports the Golden Dome, the step pyramid E image. Now, if we put the 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Antarctic Circle pyramids, which are in a 60.33 degree latitude, right? Now, minute. So the 66 feet height of the Giza Sphinx, right? No, it's the 66 degree latitude for the Antarctic Circle, right? But it's broken down to 60 degrees, 0.33 degrees. And this is in the North and South Pole. It's the top of the blue basketball-shaped Earth and the bottom. So we see that the height of the Sphinx in front of 1, 2, 3 Giza pyramids. Now, if you put the Stealth Pyramid E image on the blank sheet of paper on the blackboard, you'll see that the first 1, 2, 3 steps of the Stealth Pyramids is representing 1, 2, 3 Giza pyramids, or geographic coordinate vectors. But the center of the Stealth Pyramid is what? It's the 90-degree top of the blue basketball-shaped Earth latitude. But the 90-degree circle is the first circle at the top of the blue basketball-shaped Earth. Then you go down to 80 degrees. Then that's the second circle on the blue basketball-shaped Earth. Now you go down to 70, it's the third circle. And so the fourth circle would be the 60-degree latitude. So the Antarctic circle that appears in the Dome of the Rock outer wall area, which supports the Golden Dome, in the central area of the Stealth Pyramid E. That's why you see the white circle in this video in the Stealth Pyramid. This is the Globe Earth Stealth Pyramid E Mercator projection. So now, if we turn the 1, 2, 3 Giza pyramids sideways, in which the Book of Genesis 49th chapter 8 verse African lion thinks that the tribe of Judah is in front of, then we will see them representing the 1, 2, 3 steps. So therefore, if you take the ice-covered Giza pyramids in the Antarctic circle, 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Giza pyramids, and you turn them sideways, now you have 1, 2, 3 steps. So now we go back to the Dome of the Rock outer wall area which supports the Golden Dome, and we will see that the Sphinx in front of the Northeast African Isaiah 1919 Giza pyramid, 66 feet height, translating to a 60.33 degree north and south pole latitude. This is the beginning of the fourth circle, or latitude, of the beginning of the Antarctic circle, in the North Pole and South. So about right, the African lion Sphinx that was denied in the 400-year-old mistranslated King James Bible in theological racism by the kings and queens of Europe, appointed 72 Greek and Hebrew scholars through King James. They lied about the aliens in Ezekiel's Old Testament glowing wool and wool like UFOs that we now see in the Antarctic circle. And when they did so, they lied about the Old Testament glowing wool and wool like UFO aliens, or that God is not a man character, in order to uplift a false European man-based Lord God world religion image that has a penis underneath its white robe, such as Jesus or Jehovah. Now remember, if God is not a man, but yet the Old Testament prophets saw an extraterrestrial with arms, legs, nose, and a mouth, in Ezekiel glowing wool and wool like UFOs. The only Africans that these extraterrestrials in the Antarctic circle would be confused with is Genesis 1:26, the first elongated African Adamic race, which no longer exists upon the surface of planet Earth. If we go back in time, like 5,000 or 8,000 years ago, we see black people like King Tut, Pharaoh Akhenaten, Queen Nefertiti. They all had long waterman-shaped heads, just like these aliens, the 506 KK3 aliens in the Antarctic circle. And so the Area 51 has an alien that they filmed and placed on YouTube. And it looks just like the 506 KK3. In fact, the Area 51 alien is dark brown skin. And it has 3 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand, big black O-shaped eyes, a long waterman-shaped head, and no penis or vagina between its legs. So as we erase the false man-based Lord God world religion characters out of the Bible, we are now faced with the 4 feet tall, big black O-shaped eye, wool and wool like UFO alien. Now, if we go back to the Sphinx in front of the Giza pyramids, 1, 2, 3, and his 66 feet height is placed within the Dome of the Rock outer wall area in which supports the Golden Dome. So that the first 1, 2, 3 steps of the Stealth Pyramid E in the Dome of the Rock outer wall area in which supports the Golden Dome. So this is the octagonal roof and the wall that supports the Golden Dome on top of it. It has the same Stealth Pyramid E image that we can now connect to Ethiopia, stone cross-shaped building structure in Alibaba. So that means that the Stealth Pyramid E Globe Earth Mercator projection is of ancient Judaism and the Judean desert, Stealth Pyramid E temple ruins. So as we rediscover that the Antarctic circle, 506 KK3, now remember, all I did was take the original image of the area view Antarctic circle ice sheet. Okay, it's a pancake-shaped piece of ice sheet. and I turned it into negative. And when I did that, you see a black 506 KK3 elongated, hit it, Old Testament glowing, willing, like UFO agent. Now, just in front of the cheek, right? So you say the left cheek, just where the mouth is of the 506 KK3, you see a normal shape hidden African atom. Now, so we have two faces. We have an elongated hidden African atom of Genesis 1:26, or the aliens that created the elongated hidden African atom as a 506 KK3. Now, to the left cheek where the mouth is, look there, you see a Mars face. Now, this is the same 1976 Viking frame 35A72. I call it the African Ant face. Okay? So that means that these elongated hidden Old Testament glowing, willing, like UFO aliens were so smart because their brain was so big, and they had no penis or vagina between their legs, so they could not be confused with man, even though they had arms and legs, nose and mouth, and they stood about 4 feet tall. So as we go back to the area of the Antarctic Circle, ice sheet topography, and the thank God for the Facebook truth when it comes to aliens and alien disclosure, because they had this Area 51 that I'm using that video where you see, hey, look, United States Marines is parachuting in the year 2012 down out of an airplane where they shine the camera out the airplane and you see them flying over 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Giza pyramids. Now we can connect the 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Giza pyramids to the lion things of the tribe of Judah, or Giza, the Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramid, which was created to the Lord that created man. Now remember, we're not talking about the man, Lord, God, image. That's a false one. Because any man that has a penis underneath his white robe or beard, such as Jehovah Jesus, are false man-based Lord God world religion character. They have nothing to do with the creation of the first African Adam or the second African Adam. So as we look at this Area 51 alien, and I call them H2925, and the 506 KK3 alien, they're about the same size, about 4 feet tall. They have big black O-shaped eyes, 3 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand. And if they're in their spaceship, they're like a child in the spacecraft. A 4-year-old child. The height of a 4-year-old child. Even though they have this tremendous intelligence because their brains are so huge. So this is where we draw the line. When we now see that the UFO disclosure has been already online, but the false man-based European Lord God world religion type of group of people refuse to believe that alien 4 feet tall with big black oval-shaped eyes, 3 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand, and their own watermelon-shaped head, is the alien creator of man. Now, just like if you go to Africa, there's not one African walking in Zimbabwe or Ethiopia or Mogadishu or North Africa or South Africa or Central Africa, right? You have millions of Africans. Now let's go back to the creator of man. There's not one alien 4 feet tall with big black oval-shaped eyes, 3 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand, and no sex organ between his legs. It has smooth skin there with a woman's vagina. There are millions of these extraterrestrials. And they all existed in our solar system and on Earth before they turned around with their ingenuity of DNA and created the Angora gorilla into a jungle gorilla, intelligent enough to make fire and carbons, and then soon intelligent enough to count and use a language. So this will be the story of ancient Babylon, okay, and the aliens landing in spaceships in Babylon. We see it in the ancient cuneiform tablet. So if we now see that there is a higher intelligence within our solar system that created man, and it's the ANTARCTICCIRCLE aliens that exist in our solar system and on Earth before man even existed in our solar system. And so, as we look at this Antarctic Circle ice sheet topography turned into a negative, the entire Antarctic Circle ice sheet, when turned into a negative, we see an elongated headed 506 KK3 Old Testament glowing wool in the wood like UFO alien. But we also see that when we look at the Antarctic Circle from outer space with satellite imagery, we see African lion's face, the same black man face upon the lion's body we see in front of the biblical North African Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramid. This connects us to the aliens, 4 feet tall, with big black oval-shaped eyes that do not have a penis or vagina. In fact, they have smooth skin between their legs, what a woman's vagina would be. In other words, these will and will like UFO aliens with long watermelon-shaped heads and a brown circular cake-like reproductive organ in the center of their belly. These aliens cannot think like a man, slow. They cannot think or act like a human being. You get it now? In other words, the God is not a man character refers to 4 feet tall, big black oval-shaped Old Testament glowing willing like UFO, in which many of the first elongated African Adamic race that was created in Genesis 1:26, such as elongated African pharaohs. We go back in time like 8,000 years ago, we see King Tut, Pharaoh Akhenaten, Queen Africa. All these black people with long watermelon-shaped head, they are connected to the first elongated African Adam, in which the 506 KK3 and ARCTICCIRCLE aliens, or the H2925 aliens, created. Now, they both are 4 feet tall with big black oval-shaped eyes and 3 fingers and 1 thumb on each hand, and no sex organ or hair. So as we move forward to the El Sacra Mosque, the 1881 Sphinx face in this video, this Sphinx face is behind the side wall of the rectangular building that has a great dome, okay, in Jerusalem. Now, when we look at the Judean desert, we see ancient stele pyramid ruins. So we can connect black Africa, okay, or the first normal shape-headed Africans now of Ham. So this is Cush, that populated the entire African continent, the Ethiopians, Hamites, or the Bible also referred to them as Canaanites. And so the European false man-based Lord God world religion that has a penis underneath his white robe and beard is illegally spoken of in the Bible as giving away the black African Hamitic stele pyramid civilization, which has never happened. It was taken by the European Gentile nations, or the rough goes the king of Greece here, who's in the latter tenth of his kingdom shall stretch forth his hand to conquer the biblical Holy Land areas of Judea and Jerusalem. Now, if we go back in time to discover how come the black man faced on the lion's body, pyramids were placed on the back of the American dollar bill, but not the lion sphinx of Judah. The black man face we see in front of the Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramid. This was done by the European Gentile nations with 10 horns of Daniel. Now remember, America, where the dollar bill appeared, was started by English pilgrims in black hats, coat ties, and shoes that came on trading ships from Europe, okay, England. And as they started the early 13 colonies, it's the same dress code we see the European face false Israelites that illegally occupied Judea and Jerusalem. Remember, Ezra 1:3 says, "Let us go up to Jerusalem, which is located in the land of Judah." It's not located in the land of Israel. So why are we reading the name or word Israel in a mistranslated 400-year-old King James Bible and not Judah? That's because during slavery time, the 1609 transatlantic slave trade, Africa was being overran by European Gentile nations with 10 horns of Daniel. No matter how you read the mistranslated King James Bible script concerning the rough goes king of Greece here, and the book of Zechariah, which says, "When I raise thy sons of Zion against thy sons of Greece." Okay, so Zion is not European-faced Israelites that today modernly occupy Jerusalem in modern times. But the Zionism was about the cube and the sun, connected to elongated aliens with 4 feet tall, big black oval-shaped body that was in Ezekiel's glowing woolen or like UFOs. And the aliens that created the first African Adam did in other words, Genesis 1:26, African Adamic race had long watermelon-shaped heads like King Tut, Pharaoh Akhenaten. And these long watermelon-shaped headed Africans no longer exist on the surface of planet Earth. So we can truly say these are the sons of God, or the alien 506 KK3 and ARCTICCIRCLE alien. And when we go back to ancient Egypt, they would say I am sons of the ancient ray, or sons of the son of light. So that means that the magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light plasma we call the human mind. It looks like a grapefruit size shaped magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light plasma. That's the human mind, y'all. But the sun is a magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light plasma, which is 1 John 1:1. Biblical light that exists in the black outer reaches of space before it created the 5 billion year old world. So the 15 billion year old sun in astronomy or in carbon-14 dating, existing in the black outer regions of space before it created the 5 billion year old world. So ancient Egypt, black man's face on the lion's body, called the Lion Sphinx of Judah, his solar theology was about the Ka, K-A, and Ba, soul light and mind light. Traveling across the 93 million mile distance of black space, found the biblical light or holy hydrogen light of creation. And so now this is the great ancient ray in ancient Egypt. It's written about all the ancient Egyptian temple walls as the sun with wings. So as we look at Babylon and the stealth pyramids in the Dome of the Rock outer wall area in which supports the Golden Dome, this is the stealth pyramid E. Then we look at the stealth pyramid base that surrounds the stone Ethiopian cross-shaped being structure in Lalibela. We have made one of the greatest archaeological, theological, and astronomical discoveries. Because if we go back to ancient Babylon now, on the stealth pyramid temple wall, we see a 6-point star surrounding, who circle the planet, surrounds the tip of the 6-point star on the black ancient African Hamitic book of Genesis, Ham, black people. Their first stealth pyramids in Saqqara, Doja, Iraq, where Babylon is, even in South America. All these stealth pyramids was the Temple of the Sun in South America. And then we have the Temple of the Sun in Karnak. Okay? And so when we talk about black man and the sun, we're talking about black man trying to go back to the biblical light that created our solar system. So this would mean the same biblical light that lights every man that comes to the world. So this rotating circle of hydrogen light plasma we see in microbiology 101 glowing around the chemical circular area of the cell is the hydrogen light element of the soul. It's trillions of circles of hydrogen light plasma that makes up the human soul in the body. Now, the mind is a magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light plasma. So it's the child of revelation. It's the child of heaven. The mind is. And so the mind is just like the sun, but it's been deceived by textbooks, science books, math books of the human race. False textbooks, science and math and physics books and biology books. So the magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light plasma we call the human mind, it was to be educated by the holy hydrogen light of creation in the Q structure of New Jerusalem. So this is the missing data of ancient Judaism, or the black man's face on the lion's body. His solar theology of the human, Ka, K-A, and Ba, was all about the ancient ray and returning back into it. But now if we go back to Babylon, we see a 6-point star on the stone, a 6-point star carved in stone on the wall. So the black man stealth pyramids of Ham in Genesis, who started his kingdom, Akkad, Babylon, Mesopotamia, all these stealth pyramids now, and we're seeing them in the Judean desert. Stealth pyramid rooms and ancient African Sphinx faces and alien faces. 4 feet tall, big black oval shaped by Old Testament glowing wooden with like UFO alien faces. But if we go back now to the 6-point star on the Babylonian stealth pyramid temple wall, remember the book of Psalms is talking about the 12 sons of Jacob leaving Babylon, or their father Jacob, in the Babylonian East stealth pyramid civilization of Ham. So if we connect all the dots, we say the Babylonian stealth pyramid E temple walls has a 6-point star that has a central circle representing the sun. Now if you look at the tips of the 6-point star on the Babylonian temple walls, stealth pyramid temple wall, now we had circles representing planets. And there's, when we go back to Zechariah 6, 12th planet, right? We say, wait a minute. If the black man is mentioned in the book of Genesis as Ham, his kingdom is all the stealth pyramids in Babylon, Akkad, even Persia. Okay, now we say, wait a minute. We have a 6-point star that has the sun in the center as a circle in Babylon on the Babylonian stealth pyramid temple wall. Now we go back to Ethiopia. Okay, we have the 6-point star of King Solomon that has a cube in it. So what gives? This is the salvation plan, y'all. Of what? Of the magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light plasma we call the human mind. So your mind is to be educated by the holy hydrogen light of creation that exists in the black outer region of space before it created the 5 billion year world through a 7-color hydrogen light spectrum. This is the 7th spirit that emerges from the throne of light, Psalms 84:11, 1 John 1:1, Malachi 4:2. So all of these black African connections to the sun, the Step Pyramid, and the cube of King Solomon, we can now say, well, the cube is the salvation plan for our entire solar system, not just the Earth. You say, why? Because if the sunlight or the biblical light that created the world did so with its 7-color hydrogen light spectrum, like its 7 colors in the North Pole called the aurora borealis or northern lights, and the 7 rainbow circles in the South Pole of the blue basketball-shaped Earth. So the sun of the Earth is red, that's one of the colors in the rainbow. The sky is blue, and all the green grass and vegetation are algae. So here we have 3 colors coming from the 7 spirit that emerges out of the biblical light that created the world. This light is shining 93 million miles away across the black outer reaches of space. So as your magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light plasma, you put it in your left hand above the brown ball-shaped female Earth probe in Microbiology 101. Then you put the blue ball-shaped Earth in your right hand. Then you put the magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light plasma we call the biblical light that created the world. We clearly would see then that ancient Egypt's soul theology of the black man facing the lion's body that we now see in the Antarctic Circle in the Judean desert in my video. And then we see, wait a minute, so the salvation plan was never about the human body. Nope, not the physical body at all. So what was the salvation plan was about? Freeing the mind from the teachings of the serpent, which is the sperm cell after 9 months. So man is the serpent of Genesis, and his false teachings about light, magnetism, biology, geography, and the creation of the earth is what's holding back the magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen light plasma we call the mind that was created in the throne of God. So this is 1 John 1:1, 15 billion year old sun throne that exists in the black outer regions of space before it created the 5 billion year old world. So as we put 2 and 2 together and figure out that the 6-point star King Solomon has a cube crystal structure. Now remember, the cube has a crystallographic projected 1-to-1 atomic plane. So this is where the light of creation, which is the light that light every man that comes to the world, we see going around all the chemical circular area of the human cell in Microbiology 101. This is the chemical circle of hydrogen light plasma rotating around all the cells in the human body. So that light of the soul is trillions of circles that surrounds the human body cells. But the light of the mind is what's going to be educated in the cube's crystal city structure of New Jerusalem, in its crystallographic projected 1-to-1 atomic plane. So there's no white man educating you in the crystal city. There's no black man educating you in the crystal city. In other words, the holy hydrogen light of creation that created the solar system, remember the sun has a donut-shaped huge rotating magnetic field surrounding it. And the sun is burning off a pure, quantized, moving black space. So that means when black space moves, we see a black hole, a tornado-shaped rotation of black space. When 2 black holes touch tip to tip, we get a big bang, or the creation of billions of stars and suns. So your mind was created by the holy hydrogen light of creation in the cube crystallographic projected 1-to-1 atomic plane of the sun. And it traveled across the 93 million mile distance of black space, okay, upon the solar wind. And so when we look at a cube in King Solomon's 6-point star, this is after the fact, or millions of years later, okay? Now there's a cube in the sun. So, okay, but we go back to the first kingdoms of the black man, okay? We're talking about Akkad, Babylon, all the step pyramids in northeast Africa, Doja, Saqqara, okay? So what is this? This is why we see a step pyramid in the dome of the rock outer wall area which supports the golden dome. On the octagonal roof, we see wall that supports the golden dome, and we see black man step pyramids, y'all. It's a step pyramid E. Same step pyramid E that surrounds the stone Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure base area in Lalibela. So once you figure it out, that the so-called Midian caves in Arabia of Jethro was the African lion Sphinx temple ruins. And why would it be his temple room? Because his face is in stone all upon the outer surface of the so-called biblical caves of Jethro. So we renamed it the Giza Sphinx Lion of Judah. of the Judean desert. So the Judean desert is what you must cross after you leave Egypt, right, and enter into Jerusalem. So when the European Gentile nations took over Jerusalem and lied about the black man face on the lion body of Genesis 49:8, called the lion thinks of the tribe of Judah, they then was able to illegally change all of the 12 African continent tribes from south to north into the 12 sons of Jacob, literally, okay, with the book of Psalms, the 105th chapter, now not talking about the 12 African continent tribes. If you draw 12 east to west lines from South Africa to north and view them with satellite imagery, you see nothing but African tribes, no white, no European, no nothing. No European face Israelite. Nothing but black, pure Africans of Genesis 2:7. Now these normal-headed African tribes was illegally renamed in the book of Psalms, the 105th chapter, 23rd verse, into the 12 sons of Jacob. This completely concealed the African lion things of Ethiopia, of Giza, and its relationship to the 4 feet tall, big, black, oval-shaped, ab-willing, and like U.F.O alien that transported him, and thou art going up. This is a scriptural reference in Genesis 49:8, the first book in the Bible. Thou art going up. He couched down as a lion and as an old lion. So this is why we see a Giza Sphinx face in the sun, a Giza Sphinx face upon the foundation stone in the Dome of the Rock octagonal building structure floor area. So I'm showing you all those images, which is great archaeological and theological discovery for the Rastafarians, for the lion sphinx of the tribe of Judah, churchgoers. Because now you see that the Ethiopian stone cross-shaped structure in Lalibela appears in the Dome of the Rock outer wall area. The same step pyramid base that surmounts the stone cross-shaped structure in Lalibela 11 appears in the Dome of the Rock outer wall area, which supports Golden Node. That's a step pyramid E. Okay, now a step pyramid is like 5 blocks on the left stacked on top of one another, 5 blocks on the right stacked on, that they form a step that you walk upon. But there's 2 step pyramids connected to their bases in the Dome of the Rock outer wall area, which supports the Golden Dome. So this is why black men is connected to Jerusalem, the ANTARCTIC aliens, and the foundation stone, and the step pyramid E. So this is the globe earth step pyramid E Mercator projection, where the step pyramid fits in the octagonal roof and now of the Dome of the Rock, and now we have an octagonal globe earth equatorial perimeter. Now remember, the Babylonians or black Africans, first black Africans called Ham, or Hamitic step pyramid E civilization of Babylon, Akkad, Mesopotamia. They measured huge square sections of the earth in squares and cubics. So when we go back to say that a 144 cubit measurement of the front triangular surface of the pyramid is a 1440, and so when we talk about 1440 of a cube, or the cube crystallographic projected 1-to-1 atomic plane, we're talking about the salvation of the magnetic rotating ball of hydrogen-like plasma in the crystallographic projected 1-to-1 atomic plane. So this is why a cube is now in the sun, in which the National Space Administration filmed a huge black cube coming in and out the sun. And so now we see a cube in the 6-point star of King Solomon, a cube in the ceiling in Ethiopia, the stone cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela. That cube is in the center of a 6-point star.